Cycling podcast, brought to you by our show partner, Join Cycling, the #1 training app on the market for Stage 8 of the Critérium du Dauphiné, the best stage this week, in my opinion. This stage consistently delivers good action. Coverage started a little bit later in the end. We didn't really miss too much. It wasn't like the carnage of 2020, but as is unfortunately needed, Benji, before I even do the profile, can you run through the medical list for us before this stage?
Well, there were once again multiple riders that did not start today's stage, and we've had loads of people abandon in the last couple of stages, and I think today we had Sivakov not start, Pedrero, Squins, Vito Braats, Ludvigsen, Skus, because he wasn't feeling well the last couple of days, which we saw by the fact that he wasn't climbing very well. Tejada, Champoussin, and Sénéchal. I think that's the full list of riders. So some of them were abandoning before the race even started, some of them in the initial phase of the race, but they did not have a consequence on today's stage. And now route, when it comes to the route.
Hard stage. Well, yes, but yeah, I mean, like for Visma don't mind a raid stage, but what team? Okay, there's Bart Lemon, Benoit, and Bowman, but
yeah,
I think the best they can do is put Lemon in the breakaway, which they eventually did. With no Koos, no Van Aert, what are you gonna do? So, and then Bora defending, they got the strongest overall team. INEOS could, but then it's like, I just don't see it.
Should.
Yeah, should. So I just didn't see it in the end. But it's a hard stage from Turn to Plateau de Glières, 160 kilometers long. About 3,750 meters elevation gain. There's some reasonably long valleys in here, but the first climb they used in the Tour last year, it was the climb, I think, before Le Betex on stage 15 of the Tour, but they use it at the start of this stage, called La Forclaz, which is 7K, 7%, very difficult. Last 4Ks are 9.5%. It's like Marie Blanc. There's then 2 Norton summits, about 10 to 15 minute, 5% climbs, and then a bit of a valley, and then they do La Salève, 12.2K, 6.8%, also has a false summit before they do another 4.5Ks at 4%, another descent, another little uncategorized climb, and then a false flat horrible drag up to Plateau de Glières, which is 9.3K, 7.3%. Doesn't sound that bad until you see it is a fake news climb. I didn't see any gravel today, Benji. I don't know what that was all about.
Well, they're doing the other side today.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is the other side that from the stage they used in 2020, where Kwiatkowski won from the breakaway with Carapaz, and Rog kind of dropped everyone without trying. But there's very steep Ks in here, 14%, 11%, 9%, and then it really levels off. There's even a descent in the last 2 kilometers before a false flat sort of 4% kick up to the line. So not the hardest finish climb compared to Samoa and Colle d'Alevar, but a very hard stage before, and a lot of teams with nothing to lose. I'll remind you of the GC positions before the stage. Roglič leading GC by 102 over Jorgensen and 113 over G. His Domestique Vlasov was in 4th on 156. Carlos Rodriguez 158, breathing down his neck in 5th. Evenepoel 215, De Plus 217, Lascano 220. Very, very tight gaps between 4th to 8th. And between Jorgensen and G-Rog with a pretty comfortable 1 minute lead. But you, Benji, what did you say at the end of yesterday's pod? How do you end yesterday's pod?
If Roglič does not win GC at this race, then he's washed.
No, but you say you were very
Those
mean.
were the words.
You are an enemy of Bora Hansgrohe, I'll tell you that.
How?
What you did yesterday was messed up.
Jinxing them.
Yeah, you. Anyway, before we get to the breakaway formation, which we sort of followed by the live trackers, I just want to let you know something, a really cool thing about Join Cycling. It's not a 20-year-old app. It's a dynamic app which is constantly updating, constantly improving, and with all the people working there are open to feedback from their community. And if you are a user of Join Cycling, there is a place for you to submit feature requests or even upvote existing feature requests, which will then be added to the Join Cycling app. That's at joincycling.featurebase.app. We'll put the link in the description down below. And I think it's really, really cool. And then by democracy, the things that people, the community want the most get prioritized, and then they can be added to the app, which is really, really cool.
I think,
what I like about it.
I would like to order a feature where there's a button where I can ask a pro rider to arrive in front of me and pull me up a climb.
On the workout way, in real life or the workout player?
Well, in real life, the rider would help me to finish my workout.
Just use WhatsApp. Integrate WhatsApp, just call them and have them abuse you. I'll do it for free, Benji. I'll just abuse you.
Well, I said pro rider.
Hey. True. Hey, after I finish my stamina builder, not far away. But as you can see, there's people wanting a calendar view, but go and check it out. If you're a user of Join Cycling, go and check it out and submit a feature request if there's something that you really like to see, or upvote something that someone has already suggested that you might like. Thanks to Join Cycling as always for supporting us as our show partner. But break formation, Benji, we didn't see it. Some usual suspects from the stage yesterday, as well as some new names.
Yep, we had a breakaway that included some strong riders. Mark Soler was the one we had yesterday in the breakaway. Now with a tug buddy, somewhat of a tug buddy, Tim Wellens in this breakaway. Bart Lemon also in here. We've got Bruno Armirail, David Gaudu as written, Omar Fraile, potential satellite rider, Guillaume Martin, Sepulveda, and Sean Quinn. So 9 riders up the road roughly in the stage. We didn't see break formation because they only covered the last 50-ish kilometers of this race on broadcast, which is always a shame when it comes to these stages, because I feel like when it comes to the Dauphiné, these mountain stages, when I start watching the race, I feel like I've missed half the race because I love breakaway formation and we just don't see it here. Now, we get to La Salève. That's where the broadcast properly starts, and it's already kind of towards the end of the climb, and we see a situation where INEOS is pacing in the peloton, and I see the riders that are pacing. Castro first, Kwiatkowski second, then Tarlings also, but Turner's already dropped at this point, so I have to guess that Turner paced the initial kilometers of the Salève climb?
I think he did, yeah. I think INEOS started to light it up there, and which is really good to see. Why? Because they didn't pace the stage on the... I mean, they didn't walk up yesterday. They didn't walk up to the final climb, but also, Bora paced a decent pace, but it wasn't like what INEOS did in Romandie either. That was a serious... Hater was unbelievably good in Romandie on the Les stage. And so it's not all about the final climb. And I think, let's be honest, Rodriguez, he can't sprint for shit. He's a diesel. He looks to me like an all-day diesel, and kind of like G. And so if you get into a 2-minute punching effort with Roglič at the end of a climb or Ciccone, he comes out worse every time, and he'll lose even 10, 12 seconds. I'll remind you, Rodriguez lost 17 seconds to Pidcock on Grand Colombier in stage 13 of the Tour last year. The next day, where Visma nuked it all day, he put 8 minutes into Pidcock, won the stage to Juplin. So it can sometimes be deceiving sprints, I think.
I fully agree with you. On one end, yes, I think Rodriguez benefits from having a harder stage. On the other end, that specific example of taking 8 minutes on Pidcock, I think that's also because Pidcock collapsed on that stage.
Yeah, but I'm saying Pidcock was looking really good. He was good on Puy de Dôme. He was better than Carlos. So
fair. There's a difference between the two types of stage, and it depends on the energy expenditure during the stage and preferably also in the second half of the stage before the final climb. And that's, in my opinion, I agree why INEOS is pacing here. I think it's to try and make the race harder, first of all, because like you say, we don't necessarily want a sprint on Plateau de Glières from the victory if you go with Carlos Rodriguez. So it is an attempt to reduce the explosivity of the final climb, but also to put some pressure on maybe the bigger boys in the GC group. We've got the likes of
That's how I see it.
So yeah, the combination of both. No?
Yeah, I think you look at G and Lascano and you're like, okay, maybe you can, but I want you to prove that you can ride a full gas mountain stage from start to finish with multiple climbs. Like maybe you can, but prove it.
So is your theory that they did it just to expose G or for their own benefit?
I don't think it was to win GC, but it was to move Carlos up, give him the best chance to go to the podium and try and crack G, see if he could do it.
Maximizing the situation to be as beneficial as possible for Rodriguez to perform in.
Yeah, because he wasn't that far behind G, and if he has a full blow up, he could lose that 45 seconds or whatever to Rodriguez. But yeah, they start pacing. Kwiatkowski also takes over, my favorite rider ever, and
Really?
Yeah, Kwiatkowski.
Was it Pinot back in the day?
No.
There was a moment where you were crying on the podcast about Pinot having bad luck in the first stage in Nice at the Tour 2020.
I don't know. I think actually I was a little bit rude about Pinot in that stage, which I regret. But
you were doing both. Tears were flowing.
I rated Pinot higher than anybody in France, including FDJ. I'm higher on him than anyone in France.
But were you at Virage Pinot?
What's that?
See, that is why I don't believe you're a real Pinot fan.
I don't care about all that bullshit. I care about the fact that guy was dropping big numbers, climbing fast before 2020. He was an incredible rider.
Okay.
But Kwiatkowski, my favorite ever. I don't know, maybe it's the Sky, like him, Pools, Landa, Castro. I'll always love those guys. Anyway.
Tourmalet victory?
Tourmalet?
2019?
2019?
Kruiswijk? Buchmann?
Nah, I like Pinot 16-18 to Pinot.
Oh, okay.
INEOS stop, Benji. Who takes over?
So when INEOS stop was basically going after the descent, I would say. So with about 25, 30 kilometers to go, roughly. And it's Mess Pedersen that we see coming to the front. There was a bit of a moment initially where no one took over because everybody started to take a piss. And then Bora did a little bit. Then Pedersen took over and he paced the valley for most of it. And that's for Ciccone. And I've enjoyed what Pedersen has been doing in this race. But I also feel like in the sense, if Pedersen goes, nobody should care. Like if Pedersen is at the front in the descent and Ciccone is not in the wheel, Bora should just let him go, which I think they somewhat did in today's descent, which is a good decision in my opinion.
I think Bora wanted the stage at points, Benji. Because we get to the valley. I agree. If Pedersen, for Ciccone, I think it's okay because Ciccone doesn't mind a quick descent. But I love Pedersen as well. Like him as a versatile rouleur and the way he invests his energy day in, day out for a leader. Ciccone's nowhere on GC here. Ciccone's looked not really close to winning any stage here. He isn't. Yeah. He isn't because of the TT. He's in top 10, but the way Pedersen is riding with full commitment to try and give Ciccone something is really like exceptional stuff. And it's what he did for Schelmoser, for KOM last year. It's what he did for Port in the 2020 Tour de France. He is an unbelievable teammate, Pedersen. So yeah, I just want to give him a shout out because like he gets no stage win, no top 5 on GC out of Ciccone this week, but he invested a lot. Maybe too much sometimes actually, because it's like, is it best for you to be monstering this false flat descent for Ciccone? And for Gegenhardt in the future, I don't think it would be the best idea. But anyway, Bora start relaying, Benji. What did you see there? Because in the valley, long valley, I think the break gave up with 2 hours left in this stage and kind of just went through the motions, right? They knew it was not happening.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't know if Bora was specifically set on the stage. It could also be that you're in a valley. What will it hurt to just have your rouleurs space on the flat instead of the first 500 meters on a climb because they can only do really 500 meters on that climb. So I don't necessarily hate it too much, but why not try and have them pace on the flat anyway? If you can get a third stage win in a row, I don't mind that either when it comes to Roglič. So I'm like in between the two when it comes to Roglič and Bora trying to win the stage. I don't know if it was their goal, but if it was their goal, I don't have an issue with it necessarily at that point. And it really, to be honest, when Plateau de Glières starts, with about 10 kilometers to go, we see Mess Pedersen doing that rolling up towards Plateau de Glières. And there we see Jungels dropping, Castro dropping. So some of the early mountain domestiques of specific teams are dropping at that point. And now we still have to start the climb, Plateau de Glières. And I'm thinking, okay, who's still here? Who does every single team have? Kwiatkowski is probably the next rider for INEOS if they want to set someone to work. We've got Benoit that is left for Jorgensen, but Lemon is also in front and Fraile is also in front. So they've both got some satellite rider ahead. But on the other hand, the break is only 20 seconds ahead at the start of Plateau de Glières. So those satellite riders will be caught before they're even useful, right?
And that was the fault of Mats Pedersen. That's what, because like Freyler was not investing. Like same with Lemon, they weren't full investing with the break, and but then with 20 seconds, you're caught when the first guy is pulling. You're not caught when there's no domestiques left and you can do something or someone can attack you. So yeah, Pedersen neutralized them.
Is that why Bora was pacing? That's probably too.
No.
40 chess, but
no. Like they at that point, I don't think they're that scared of Mr. Lemon.
Yeah,
or
I don't think
Freyler.
so
No, I don't think so. But yeah, we get to that climb, Benji. I was looking. I always do. I was looking at Roglič in the valley. To be honest, very easy to say now. I didn't think he looked that good in the valley. In the valley? No, in the valley, I didn't think he looked that good. I think he looked a bit pale. Then on the climb, I saw him dancing. He was not in the draft. He was out of the saddle. Looked like good souplesse on the pedals. I was like, oh, he's fine. And then I thought, Bora they're going to lock this down and he's going to win. So, yeah, it swings and roundabouts. I'm not right or wrong. Well, I am wrong because I just hedged my bets. But what did you see on the climb? Benoit straight away to the front and Bora not really wanting to follow him? Or was he testing them, like seeing what they would do?
I think Bora played the initial part of this climb perfectly. So first
I think so
of all,
too.
Benoit comes to the front to set pace for Jorgensen. But in doing so, Jorgensen is not on the wheel. At the same time, Kwiat seems to move to the front to try and set pace for INEOS, but realizes Benoit is doing it, so aborts mission and straight up drops off the back. So that was kind of funny to see. But Benoit is now pacing, and after a little bit, Benoit starts pacing a bit faster, and Bora realizes Jorgensen is not in the wheel of Benoit. Why should we follow the wheel of Benoit? Makes no sense, right? So we'll set our own tempo. Benoit just rides off a little bit. So I think it's a wise decision from Bora to not give a crap about Benoit, ride their own tempo.
For sure.
Because reality is, Benoit's on 75 decades in GC, and Jorgensen is a danger who's in your own wheel. So the worst thing that can come out of this is Jorgensen uses Benoit to jump towards because you gave Benoit a gap. But
it's like 8Ks left on the climb.
Yeah, and you have too many domestiques for Jorgensen, I think, to risk that.
Yeah, you still got Vlasov and Hindley who haven't hit the wind yet. You got Sobrero pacing, so they played that part well. The next phase, I gotta love it. I think everybody has to be a Giulio Ciccone fan after this Dauphiné. He really was. Like, he tried to mix it up. You gotta respect it, and he attacks the Bora train with no fucks given again. Attacks Hindley and Vlasov with 7Ks to go. And, the draft still matters. There's Ks that are 6% on this climb.
He does exactly what we just said Jorgensen shouldn't do because it's too early.
Yeah. But
head says no. Heart says,
I actually think it's smart. I actually think it's a smart time to jump. Because he's so far on GC.
Fair.
Bora were actually... And this was got into a little bit of like when Quintana jumped on Granon, Benji.
Yeah.
And Micah started pacing and the gap to Quintana just started go. And it's unusual. And if you look at the pattern of the rest of this week, okay, the last stage, maybe you say Bora don't care about Ciccone. He's 3 minutes back in Narnia on GC. But then it's like, if they wanted to go for the stage, I think they would. I don't think they would just let the gap go to 20 to 23 to 24 to 25 to Ciccone. And so, or you could just say, actually, no, they were being conservative. They were playing it 100% smart. It's not up to them to chase Ciccone back. Or you could view it as weakness.
I was on the non-weakness side because I was thinking, okay, Ciccone is on 3 minutes in GC, 2 minutes whatever, 2 minutes 40 or something. He's so far behind that if I'm Bora, I don't really, if the stage goes to somewhere else, you just secured the Dauphiné GC. So that's kind of the thing I'm looking at and I'm thinking, okay, you don't need to chase down Ciccone. Other teams might actually do it for you. So I thought that side of the discussion. I thought it wasn't necessarily showing weakness, but was more of a wise decision for Bora to basically control the gap and not spend too much energy because the danger comes from the riders around Roglič and not from Ciccone. So keeping as many domestiques in that phase as possible is important. And Vlasov, I actually feel like Vlasov did respond to Ciccone for a second.
Yeah, he thought about it.
He did a bit of a jump and then went back again and Hindley started pacing. So even when Vlasov makes that, in my opinion, small mistake, Bora quickly realizes how to jump back into formation. Hindley starts spacing, and his pace is not bad. We still see riders dropping left and right, but the most important riders are still there. Remco's still there. G is still there. Lascano is still there. Vlasov obviously in the wheel with Roglic in the wheel. Jorgensen still there. Go ahead.
This is a much better day from Remco compared to yesterday. Remco dropped from a group of 12, 15 yesterday and just progressively lost a shitload of time. Today he's with a group of 10 and the pace is on. Ciccone is going full and Hindley's pacing full and Remco's right there. So Remco much, much better today.
Is this climb more like Adelaide's?
Yeah, no. I think Adelaide's is 4Ks 11%, 13, 14 minute climb. This is longer, maybe 25 minutes. I have no explanation. He just is better today. Yesterday wasn't. Yesterday good.
Possible,
It's also maybe he needs the racing in the legs and he'll come out of the Dauphiné better for it. I hope so. But Ciccone's up there, Benji, and I'm thinking. Yesterday, you said as usual, INEOS won't do anything, and I finally lost faith after every day saying they're going to go for it. And then De Plus gave an interview this morning, Benji. He said, we're not here for 5th on GC and 7th on GC. We're going to go for it. And there's De Plus there. There's Rodriguez there. Ciccone's up the road. Broe setting a soft tempo behind, letting the gap go 20, 23 seconds. I was like, 6 5Ks to go. It's now or never. And they well, not rewarded because we had a lack of faith. De Plus comes to the front. Incredible job. He starts absolutely drilling it. I don't know if it was an attack, Benji. I feel like De Plus did the thing where he like half attacks, gets caught, and then just starts driving it. It's like he's trying to create a 20-second acceleration and then to like ride as fast as possible at threshold. Did Vlasov make a mistake here chasing De Plus? Because he cracked himself. And then Roglič is on his own with 4Ks to go, 5Ks to go?
Ooh. Yeah, Vlasov does put pressure there. Yes, he's pacing relatively hard to go after the plus, which is not necessary in my opinion. I think they could have played it calmer, Bora.
Yeah, but then it's like, I think though, if Vlasov doesn't chase De Plus, C-Rod will attack to De Plus. That's what Bernal did in Romandy. Remember, Bernal attacked in Romandy. C-Rod waited, looked at Ayuso, bang, attacked him, and then used Bernal as like a satellite.
Then you do have Vlasov to take care of that Carlos Rodriguez attack.
Yeah. If he exactly. So probably better. I think if you don't respond, it's like very, very clear that you have a problem, or you're not feeling better than the other GC riders. And Jorgensen sitting there, G's still there. We see riders dropping at this moment. The gap, the group gets really, really small. Remco actually tried to follow De Plus initially. Respect it, but he shouldn't have done that because he immediately drops off De Plus's pace. But I think he was just seeing how far he could go. And then Vlasov basically cracks under the pacing of De Plus, Benji. We see him flicking the elbow furiously, and Roglič doesn't take the wheel of De Plus initially, and then Vlasov fully pulls out of the line. Rodriguez counters, and then Jorgensen goes with him, and we were getting... This was just like on Col d'Ez, Benji. This was just like on Planche de Belfi. This was like the repeat of Col d'Ez, where all of a sudden, Jorgensen, G, Rodriguez, they smell blood in the water, and they're going after De Plus. And De Plus, I mean, hats off to him. Fantastic job from him in INEOS today, really. And Roglič was in big trouble. But at that moment, Benji, I thought, this is not that long a climb. He has a minute 2 gap. I thought he would lose 20 seconds on the stage, but GC would never be in doubt. But actually, it looked like that way for a while, right?
Yeah, it looked like that for a while.
Like he held it stable 15 for a while.
Yeah, exactly. It stayed on 15 seconds for a while. Remco was kind of 10 seconds behind that. We saw everybody across the road. The Plus and Buitrago were kind of dropped from the first 3. And we get the situation for a while where it's 3 riders, 2 riders. Then Roglič together with... Roglič together with... Who was with Roglič?
Ciccone
in the wheel of Roglič. And then
Too
behind
generous
that
as
10
well.
seconds, Remco. So that situation for, in my opinion, at least like 2 kilometers on this climb. And I did feel like when the switch happened, so 5.5 kilometers to go, it happens like you say, that C-Rod attack, and then we get the Roglič dropping through. And it's a kilometer later where G attacks and creates that 3-man group at the front with Jorgensen and Seedot. And from that point onwards, I feel like there was a kilometer where I felt like Jorgensen and G were kind of trying to flick elbows to make each other work, but it always took a very long time before they took over from each other.
Jorg, I think Jorg, I'm not sure if he believed in winning GC at this moment.
I think he should try.
At this early moment, where Rog is holding it at 15, I think he's still thinking, I don't want to get countered by G and lose second.
Yeah.
I think. Because you're right.
Matteo, get that dog.
Or maybe he's just playing it the long game on the climb. But yeah, G was doing most of the work, right? Initially. Or Carlos or De Plus. And he was playing it cool.
Playing with koi. Is that a fish?
A koi, it's a fish, it's a sprinter, and it's a climb. Yeah. It's a climb in the Giro 23. So it's many things.
That is very true.
But eventually the gap starts to go out really quickly. It goes to 23, 24 seconds, and then we see Jorgensen full commitment, fully going for it. And it was now GC was really looking in doubt for Roglič. If this had been a consistent climb all the way to the finish, he would have for sure lost GC, but it actually levels off. So even though it looked like there's 3Ks to go and he's losing like 10 seconds a kilometer, that wasn't the case because there's a descent in there. Ciccone was helping a bit. And actually, Jorgensen pulls. He relays with Rodriguez. They drop Derek G. Roglič is going backwards. And then I don't think they had an agreement, Benji. I think Jorgensen had been pulling full gas on like 3%, and Carlos had been in the wheel, and Jorgensen couldn't come around him. Because no way you would just gift 4 bonies. There's no way. I think Carlos won it fair and square.
Yeah, but it's also the logical move of Jorgensen to think, okay, I'm just going to hammer it, and I'm okay with those 4 seconds, because if I hammer it, I'm probably going to earn more than those 4 seconds on Roglič to begin with. So,
especially if you look at Carlos.
Yeah, exactly. And Carlos does take over again with like 1.1 kilometers to go until 700 meters to go when Jorgensen goes to the front again. But I think both played the situation relatively well once they were alone. Once G had dropped with about 1.5 kilometers from the finish line. And behind, like Roglič gap kept on expanding, and it wasn't 15 seconds anymore. It wasn't 30 anymore. It wasn't 40 anymore. It felt like 41, 42. And then I was thinking, okay, 52 seconds plus 10 bonus seconds if Jorgensen wins. 56 if Jorgensen is second. Then I didn't believe Jorgensen could win GC.
I also thought Roglič would. I just thought Roglič would save it because the flat, yeah. And even when Rog is fucked on that sort of 4%, he's so aero. He's even when he's and the climb leveling off, it saved him. And but wow, Jorgensen came so close. Carlos Rodriguez wins the stage. When Carlos Rodriguez wins, he wins big. Basque Country twice, the Tour de France, now the Dauphiné stage. Yeah, he's an unbelievable rider, and he beats Jorgensen 15 seconds behind Derek G. Well, a word on him in a second, because that shouldn't go unspoken about. De Plus and Buitrago on 35 seconds, really good from De Plus, and then Roglič leads over Ciccone 48 seconds back. Evenepoel only 10 seconds behind Roglič, with Vlasov, Landa 10th on 110. In terms of GC, actually no changes in the top 3 despite Roglič having an issue. He wins GC by 8 seconds with a 10 bonus second margin on Jorgensen. So Jorgensen wins on the road, essentially, but bonus seconds are there for a reason. Roglič wins GC. Derek G on 36 seconds, also fantastic performance, 3rd on GC. Rodriguez moves into 4th on 1 a minute. De Plus into 5th on 2:04, just 2 seconds ahead of Vlasov on GC. So that's got to be the best GC performance from De Plus ever?
Yep.
To me, this is better than a 10th in the Giro last year.
It's a very strong performance because he was part of it, He was part of those final attacks. Yes and no. I still feel like De Plus had a lot more freedom than in other races where he was more domestique related. So I think they played both. I think INEOS played today's stage about as relatively perfect as you can.
Yeah, it was perfect. I think
made the climbs harder, didn't necessarily pace in the valley, but then Pedersen took over, so that's okay. And then on the final climb, initially let other teams try and do it because, well, kind of when Benoit went into the front, it looked like Kwiatkowski wanted to do the same. So it's not like they let him do it. They realized someone else was going to do it and applied a different strategy then. And then when the plus went, felt like the perfect moment to me. I actually didn't expect him to do it anymore, but to see him do it, and that leading to a 1-2 attack with Rodriguez, who then in the end wins the stage, absolute perfection when it comes to INEOS on today's stage. And when it comes to Bora, to be honest, when it comes to trying to control the final climb, the only small mistake that I maybe can point out is Vlasov trying to follow the plus move. But outside of that, I don't think the team didn't necessarily did something wrong here. It's more that Roglič just had a worse day.
I mean, yeah, like he lost 48 seconds on how long was the climb? You know, not that long.
6 kilometers? No, 9 in total, but 6 climbing, I think.
Yeah, so he really like was cracking badly. So let's go through it, Benji. Bora and Roglič, they win GC, they win 2 stages with Roglič. Vlasov was very good. I would say Hindley was not good because if you consider his benchmark being compared to last year in this very race, he was 4th on GC, and I dare say that was because of the TT loss to O'Connor, and he was the 3rd best climber in that race. Yes, he was. On Croix de Fer, he was 53 seconds behind certain Danish rider and 12 seconds behind the man who came 3rd in the Tour, Adam Yates, on an absolutely brutal stage. So he's nowhere near in the shape he was in the Dauphiné last year. Vlasov was very good, but Roglič it is literally the worst way to end the Dauphiné, even though you still win, because now you have a lot of question marks.
Yeah, I think so as well. It depends on which type of rider and which type of team you are, but when I look at a lot of one-week races that Roglič has done, his weakest day was on the final day when he had to defend that lead. Is that a trend at this point? I think that's fair to say that's a trend. But I also feel like Roglič is not like other riders in the way he responds to that. I feel like Roglič will end today and will be like sitting in his couch and saying, "Oh yes, we brought it home. We won the Dauphiné before the Tour de France. Let's get to the Tour de France and get it done." I think that's the thought process that Roglič will have after this stage. But I think 90% of the peloton would look at this stage and say, "Ooh, we had a bit of weakness there. I'm a bit worried for the Tour de France. Oh, it's in the back of my head now every time. Will I have a stage like this in the Tour de France?" Does that make sense? I think Roglič is the one rider where I'm not worried about that mentally.
Roglič just happened to him on Col d'Azur in Paris 22. Happened to him before. Yeah. He just bounces back. So he seems to be like, well, but the goal is to win the Dauphiné, won the Dauphiné.
On the final time trial of the Tour de France, if Roglič is closing GC or in the lead of GC, then the stress will come in.
To be honest, he looks nowhere near in the shape to contest Pogačar.
I agree.
I'm sorry, but Poggy on this stage today says goodbye to everybody.
Pogačar is 2 minutes plus above everybody in GC at this point.
At least 2 mins, I think. So, yeah, and no offense to Rodriguez and Jorgensen, but yeah, on a very similar stage to Duplan last year, Poggy, he and Jonas just rode away. They started doing a parkeggio on the climb. You know, they could have taken a minute and a half. So Roglič does not look nearly in the shape to contest GC against peak Pogačar or Vingegaard.
Yeah, but that's the same for Remco and Roglič to the point that I see them as the prime candidate to podium. Vingegaard, it's hard to guess his form before the Tour de France with the injury he had. On one end, Visma's stances will only send him to the Tour de France if he's 100%, but I think that's impossible. I don't see that possible to have him at 100%. He can be there at maybe 90 or whatever and probably still show up. But on the other hand, I'm also of the opinion that I can't before the Tour de France say, okay, Vingegaard will be able to compete with Pogačar either. So Pogačar is the favorite for the Tour de France going into it, and it will depend on Vingegaard when he has competition or not, or on Pogačar having a bad moment as a consequence of riding the Giro, which I'm not necessarily too scared of at the moment.
No, I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't count on that. I would expect him to be good.
I think that Jorgensen should be a backup leader at the start of the Tour de France for Visma.
Jorgensen, I mean, very, very good in this Critérium du Dauphiné. He was very consistent. He podiumed 3 stages, top 5 in 5 stages. Like, basically the only stage he didn't top 5 or top 10 was the first big boy sprint. And he is Visma's best rider so far this season on the road. Yeah. That doesn't mean he's better than Jonas or Wout, but In terms of results, he's overall
He's their savior.
He saved spring so far, or early part of summer.
And like, we saw Jorgensen being a very good rider this year coming, as in becoming a rider that is very prominent in the Classics team.
Paris didn't surprise me, nor did Dwars Tour. Didn't surprise me.
Yes, but I do think maybe his climbing level in the Dauphiné is slightly higher than I expected.
Me too. This surprised me.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I'm trying to fill a gap because you dropped out.
I dropped out. I'm back. Paris, he already was good on Movistar. You know, let's not act like Movistar, he was just an average rider. He was 5th on the Col d'Ez stage in the Stage 8 with Godou, Yates and Vingegaard in 2023 on Movistar. So he was already good in Paris, good in Oman, won Oman before that, 4th in E3, 9th in Flanders. Okay, yes, he took a step towards winning those big races, but that seemed like a logical step to me. But now in the Dauphiné, if we take away the bonies, which is a big if, but you know, they all count. But the point is, like, he was the best across the 3 mountain stages. He was the best rider.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that. So, yeah, to your point, Benji.
Most consistent rider.
Yeah.
I think is how I class. Yeah, best rider probably as well, because like consistency is what matters across the mountain stage and a stage race. And without the time trial, then we'd be looking at a different GC necessarily, but it's also like he's just grown into a rider that everybody was hoping he'd become. And now we're looking at, can he step up from here? Let's see, at a 3-week Grand Tour like the Tour de France, can he play a role in GC there next to Vingegaard, depending on how Vingegaard is at the Tour de France? And that's the aspect I'm looking forward to. So that's the Visma side. Like you said, the Roglič side, we've told the story about Roglič. When it comes to what he showed at the Dauphiné, the 2 mountain stages he won, looks great.
Yeah.
But to me, it looks great for a podium place and not for the victory.
Oh, no, he doesn't look podium level.
He still has time, eh? It's still a month before the important stages. We can't say about Remco and say, okay, he looks podium level, while Roglič doesn't look podium level. Eh?
Yeah, because Roglič, this is a repeat of everything that happens in the last 4 years to me. This is just like the same thing. And if you do this against Adam Yates is going to cook you, or Almeida, or Ayuso, or I don't know. Like, but there's other
Ayuso
riders.
And so forth. Almeida, I just don't see them being as prominent as, for example, Ayuso in the last 2 weeks hasn't actually been that great.
Crashed.
Which I'm an Ayuso stan. I want him to do well at the Tour de France, but right now I'm not super bullish on it. Almeida I haven't seen in a while, and when it comes to Almeida, it's always, I see him as in the group behind the people that are attacking and maybe go for a top 5 at the Tour de France. That kind of vibe. I have a hard time seeing that. I think Roglič will do better at the Tour de France than Almeida if he stays on his bike.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. But I'm just saying, like, there's more top GC riders at the Tour who are in Swiss, who are preparing at altitude camps. And he can't have this sort of wobble in the Tour and keep the podium against an Adam Yates type operator as well. But Derek G, Benji, before the stage, Daryl Impey was interviewed interviewed for Eurosport and said, you know, Derek G is a GC rider, just straight up. He's a GC rider like Geraint Thomas, and I agree. I think there's no way he's high 70 kilos. He must be lighter. And he did his first altitude camp, I think, or did an altitude camp before this. And the bird watcher, the ornithologist, comes third. Huge result for Israel Premier Tech, who are having a fantastic season, actually, in the biggest races. And Canada's got to be happy. So what a result.
Has to be 71 to 72 kilos.
I think so. I think he's 71, 72. Same with, I think Lascano is also way lighter than people think. No way he's 80.
He's not 83 anymore because that's pre-season weight.
No way.
80 maybe classics weight. Yeah. 77 maybe is current weight, I think. I think it's Van Aert style. 77, 78.
I reckon less. I reckon 75, yeah. Like Van Aert, he's tall. Lascano's tall, but Van Aert has got like, you know, he's got a huge ass and like, can bet, he does. Like, he's got a big sprint. He's like Lascano doesn't have the sprint. And so I reckon he's lighter than people think. He has to be. He has to be because he's not doing 500 watts to stay up there. He's doing less. So
Yeah.
But the point, sorry, Derek G. I mean, this is just what Israel could have dreamed of for this race, and he wins a stage as well. So just a podium and a stage. I mean, that's just incredible return, and I can't wait to see what he does in the Tour. Rodriguez, I think this is a fantastic way to finish the Dauphiné for him, and De Plus as well, fantastic level. So really, because Rodriguez in the Tour, there's just more stages, more fatigue, and he's a pure GT rider if he stays on the bike. Remco Benji, I'm pretty bullish on. I think he had a good stage, even though it's strange to say. I just think Remco is off the bike longer than Rog.
For sure.
So that's just, I figure there's more margin for him to improve. Lascano as well keeps his top 10 on GC at the Dauphiné, also crazy performance. Anything else from this GC or narratives for the Tour or anything you want to tease out?
Nah, just mostly I'm happy with this Dauphiné. It was really enjoyable. The mountain stages, maybe cool, yesterday was a bit less crazy than I had hoped for, because it was a brutal Queen stage that was kind of a run to the line. But today's stage definitely performed quite well, and I enjoyed it. It's also interesting that we have an unpredictable winner in Carlos Rodriguez, that Roglič showed some weakness for GC. We were on our tension of our seats until the final kilometer. That's the GCs I like. We got to know some new GC people. Lascano, G, Jorgensen stepped up. Roglič showed himself, but had a little bit of a vulnerability on the final day. Remco had vulnerabilities on the big mountain stages, but showed better signs on the last day. I'm so hyped for the Tour de France. Even if I don't believe that Roglič and Evenepoel can compete with Pogačar the way he showed himself at the Giro and the way I expect him to be at the Tour de France, I don't care. I enjoyed it. And if it's for the podium, then they're going to have a fantastic fight for the podium. So I'm just looking forward to having everybody at the same bloody race for once in my entire life. That is what I'm looking forward to. But with the Dauphiné behind us, I need to point you at something. Patrick, you need to go to my Twitter right now and check the video I just shared. Matthew Mitchell posted the final of the Tour of Britain stage for women on there, and the situation at the race is the following. Kopecky attacks in the last kilometer. She has a gap on everyone. She's going to win the stage. She looks backwards. She sees Majerus sprinting in the peloton. She breaks because she wants Majerus to win. She would have easily won, and Majerus loses a sprint.
I'm watching it now.
That is the most embarrassing thing I've seen in a very long time.
I'm watching it now.
Live reaction.
So Kopecky's looking back, sprinting, stops pedaling, gives the draft to Majerus. Majerus celebrates.
Wins.
Gets beaten. Yeah, fuck yeah, Ruby, beat her. Let's go, Australia.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
That's embarrassing. That's pathetic. It's a World Tour race.
Yeah. I can't believe it.
I can believe it. I mean, it's
arrogance to me.
It's nice in a way. It's nice in a way that Kopecky is trying to to reward someone who's retiring. I think Majerus.
But it's so arrogant compared to your competitors to think, oh, I'm just gonna break and give away this victory because I believe my teammate is gonna win the sprint. The teammate that is not even the best sprinter, she's gonna win the sprint behind. I think that's arrogant towards everybody else in the race.
I think it comes from maybe a good place of trying to let Majerus have a chance before she retires, but in reality, breaking that, like, in the end, you have to be like, I have to just take the win. If it's ended up this way, I just have to. And then secondly, for Majerus to celebrate and lose the race, like Wiebes lost Amstel Gold Race, that just makes it a million times worse, obviously.
And the fourth part is also, Wiebes also didn't sprint on purpose, so that Majerus could have a chance. Because they're second, third, and fourth on the stage. Majerus, Wiebes, and Kopecky. To me, this is far worse than Amstel.
Oh, yeah, much worse. Because they could have won the stage three different ways. Kopecky not breaking, Wiebes sprinting, Majerus not celebrating. Wow.
I can't believe this.
I can believe it. But
if there's one team that does it, it has to be SD Works. That does something like that.
I mean, Ruby Rose and Gannon, let's go. First win outside of Australian Natty Champs. Wins the World Tour race, wins Tour of Britain Stage 4. Let's go. So, I'm happy. But wow. In the end, though, SD Works still win GC with Kopecky, so it doesn't matter for GC, but certainly very, very
Silly.
embarrassing for them. Elsewhere in the Volta Ciclista Catalunya Femenina, Ali Wollaston again won the sprint after winning stage 1 ahead of Mariana Vos and Vittoria Guazzini. But Vos wins GC after her stage win on top of La Molina yesterday ahead of Rihanna Marcus and Katrina Allerud. So, I don't know what happened. Where's... I don't know if there were splits or not in GC. The Tour of Swiss is starting today. As an FYI, we won't be doing daily recaps of Tour de Suisse. I have to go to Tignes on Tuesday for the week. I don't have to. I chose to. But I'm looking forward to going to Tignes.
What are you doing?
I'm just taking my running shoes. I'm going to go do the glacier. So 50-50. You know what I'm like. So hopefully the weather's all right. It's a bit cold. So we won't be doing. We'll do a overall Tour de Suisse recap as well when the week ends and the race ends on Sunday or Monday. That'll be part of a weekly show, and we might even have another pod before we go. Yeah, I go to Tignes on Tuesday. But Tour de Suisse started today. The TT is still ongoing. It's prologue. I'll do a little bit of a preview, Benji.
Sure.
The start list is quite good with Skelmoses last year's winner, Caruso, Wout Poels. Let me look through. Felix Gall, who's not been racing for quite a while and who's been I think, training quite hard. Carapaz, who's very good usually in Swiss.
And
Lenny.
INEOS, Bernal, Pidcock, Hayter.
Yep. Pretty good.
Bernal and Pidcock for GC, especially.
Yeah.
It's difficult to guess Pidcock GC, because when it comes to Pidcock GC, he was great on a few stages in the mountains last year at the Tour de France, finished 13th overall, I'm pretty sure. But on the brutal mountain stages, he was less. But also one of the queen stages of this Tour de Suisse got reduced to a 75-kilometer Unipuerto stage because the biggest mountain, the Newfoundland Pass, was taken out because it couldn't be ridden on. So it's like that favors him. But I'd still, before the race, pick Bernal because he's just more trustworthy.
Yeah, I would expect if you had to say which one's more likely to top 5, you'd have to go with Bernal. But I think Pidcock, he does need to show something here before the Tour. Lee is there as well with Maxim Van Gils. So I'm keen to see how Van Gils goes in the punchy stages in the next couple of days. And
because if Van Gils goes on a climb and Lee is the sprinting option behind,
pretty good combo.
Would be interesting.
Pretty good combo. Tullet, Kelderman, and Outerbrooks in the race as well for Visma. So see what Outerbrook's shape is after having to abandon the Giro, and then he came up here to altitude in Andorra for Swiss. Ina Rubio, the top 10 in the Giro, and Enric Mas. I feel like I haven't seen Enric Mas all season. He's there, as well as Oscar Onley, who broke his collarbone for the millionth time in Amstel Gold Race after being 5th on the Eibar Hard Arate stage in Basque Country and winning the Willunga Hill stage. I'm keen to see how Oscar Onley goes as well. So really, really interesting race. And I actually quite like the parkour just because it's different, because we have some really climby sprinty boy sprints.
Yeah.
We have a mountaintop finish up to the Gotthard Pass, Unipuerto. There's a reasonably difficult mountain stage on stage 5, again finishing a 10k 8% climb. Stage 6, as Benji said, got nerfed a little bit. Stage 7 is the hardest stage, where they do Col de la Croix, half of it or the end of it, and then they go up Villars-sur-Olon again, and then finish on Villars-sur-Olon, and then the next day they do a TT up Villars-sur-Olon. So Aigle is the UCI headquarters is at the base of Villars-sur-Olon. So they do Villars-sur-Olon literally 5 times this race. So anyway.
The organizers are trying to make the UCI happy, I think.
And stage 1 indeed started in Vaduz, which is, I think, the capital of Liechtenstein. Yeah, it is. So I did look into moving there, but I didn't. Who do you think wins Swiss?
The thing is, with a rider like Adam Yates, I don't know where he stands.
True. His prologue looks good so far.
Yeah, that's right where I'm looking at to see how much he's progressed. When it comes to the victory in this race, though, I kind of feel like Carapaz will try and prove himself after the non-selection for the Olympics.
Yeah,
so I do
he's got a
expect
point
the
to
podium
prove.
from Carapaz. I expect Kjell to be relatively good, like last year when it comes to Tour de Suisse. Winning, I'm not necessarily sure. I think Bernal podium is definitely possible. The thing is, this race, your reputation depends on it, my friend. At the start of the year in the Visma preview, you were saying that Ben Tullet was the new Jonas Vingegaard. So
I did not say that.
I expect to see Tullet
I said he was the new
2
Roglič.
minutes on everybody on the mountain stage. You said the words Vingegaard. He's like Vingegaard, you said. So 2 minutes on every mountain stage.
In size.
Don't turn it back
You're
now.
misquoting
No take backsies.
No, I do like Tullet. I think he's really good. And his prologue looked good. And yeah, like I think the uphill TT, few watts per kilo test, I'm really keen to see how everybody goes. But I think it is a good parkour for Tullet. So, and indeed, Adam Yates, who normally would be the favorite, but has that question mark as a concussion. I'm going to go with Almeida winning Benji. I think Almeida will win.
Oh,
GC.
fair. I'm going to go with
Almeida, Carapaz, Yates.
I'm going with Carapaz. Why not? He's probably just going to attack too early again and then drop, but
respect to him.
Head over heart. No, heart over head? I don't know.
Heart over head, yeah. So that looks like quite a nice race with a lot of the other riders that will be going to the Tour de France. So I'm looking forward to it. I will obviously watch here and there this week. I think that's all from us today. I hope you enjoyed our Critérium du Dauphiné coverage. Thanks to Join Cycling, as always, our show partner, and we'll see you maybe with a bonus episode, maybe a little weekly show at some point this week. Until then, ciao.